Seth is a teeny tiny little 25-year-old computer nerd who had made a big name for himself as one of the first colonizers of the new internet frontier, and his special arena was adult entertainment. Seth was called the virtual Hugh Hefner, the Larry Flint of cyberspace, the Doogie Howser of the adult industry, but in reality, yeah, he was the Elizabeth Holmes of smut, but we'll get into that later.
I know your desires. I know your secrets. I know your innermost fantasy. Call me now, and let me make you feel like a real man.
Seth Warshavsky started his journey as a tech entrepreneur, i.e. conman, by running a phone sex business at 1-800-GET-SOME. Yes, that's right. If you're young and watching this, people used to call somebody on the phone and talk dirty with them before the days of OnlyFans.
Want that?
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, I first got started in the adult business. I was like 17 years old. I got started in the phone sex business. I wasn't even old enough to call. You know, started it with $7,000 on 2 credit cards. We ended up doing about $60 million in revenue.
Once the information superhighway was paved, Seth, being the digital dweeb that he was, recognized its potential and decided to move his salacious services online.
In about, I think, early 1995, I started exploring the internet because it was, the natural, evolution for this type of material.
Or if you asked one of his alleged former business partners, he'd tell you that Seth pulled a Mark Zuckerberg and stole his idea after they were supposed to do a deal together. Whatever the case, Seth ends up starting a new company called Internet Entertainment Group, or IEG for short, and in January 1996, IEG launched not only one of the first adult sites on the web, but one of the first big commercial websites, period, according to Seth anyway. Even though porn might seem like a shady industry to some folks, look, Seth was a man of morals, okay? He even testified in front of the Senate about how children needed better protections from adult content on the web, which was definitely not just a publicity stunt to get attention for his company. No, Seth did this because he cares about children's safety. Oh, did I mention the name of his first site? It was Candyland. Now that name did not last long, seeing as Hasbro, the toy company that makes the Candyland children's game, was not such a fan of Seth using the name of their product, and so they sued him, and Seth had to relaunch with a new URL, clublove.com. Because this is about romance, people. Seth gets the word out about his new site by creating some of the internet's first ever pay-per-click ads at a time when they were dirt cheap because there was very little competition. So Seth is reportedly dropping $250,000 a month on these ads, and so he's getting some traffic. Once curious web surfers land on his page, they can enter their credit card information to become a paid member of Club Love, where he would auto-bill them for their subscription, which was supposed to give them live access to live streams of women stripping down and performing solo, so to speak.
If a woman chooses to make money by performing, nude or doing it, she has a right to do that. I don't think it's degrading.
Says the guy whose site says, live sluts doing very nasty things. These hoes are going at it.
For $29, they can access anything within the site. They could talk to me every day that I'm here if they wanted to for $29, rather than going out and renting a movie every day.
Seth claimed that his company, IEG, was a leader at live streaming, which was an innovative feature during the early days of the web.
The internet gives you true live interactivity. You can actually talk to a woman, tell her what to do, and she does it.
They can tell me, would you stay in doggy style? And it's like, yeah, sure. Or they can type it in and they can ask me to do that. So they're getting exactly what they want.
Now I have a request for you, doggy style. Just like that, thank you.
We're open 7 days a week, 365 days a year. We never close.
Seth proudly advertised that IEG offered uninterrupted, live interactive content. He even bragged that his service had an earthquake contingency plan. But IEG's tentacles reached far beyond Club Love because Seth said his company also provided real-time adult content to 14 other explicit sites across the web. IEG even produced content for a Penthouse website in a deal with the magazine's parent company. And they provided live content for Vivid Entertainment, which, remember, was the film production company that exclusively produced video content for Playboy's new TV channel. And it was also the company that would eventually market Pam Tommy's private tape in retail stores. Because of all of these partnerships, Seth definitely made it seem like his company IEG was making bank. In 1997, he told the Wall Street Journal that IEG would make $20 million in revenue that year, which was $13 million more than they'd made the year before. And those were the kind of high-growth numbers that nobody bothered to check at this time because they were so hyped up thinking about how rich they could get investing in tech stocks. See, this was an era where people were betting on internet companies becoming hyper-profitable unicorns, and for the first time, online trading companies emerged that gave everybody access to stock information and made it easy for ordinary folks to become day traders.
When you're on top of that wave and you're surfing, you got to ride it to the end.
This moment in history was known as the dot-com boom, which would soon be followed by the dot-com bubble and the dot-com crash.
The information technology revolution. It's a hell of a mouthful to say, but it's a very profitable mouthful worth saying.
If you don't get on this technology boom, if you don't compete, you're going to just be left in the dust. You're going to miss the whole thing.
Every business, no matter how large, and no matter how small, will be on the internet in the year 2000.
That's probably one of the biggest socioeconomic changes that's ever hit the planet. This is affecting hundreds of millions of people already. This is going to affect billions of people. It's going to change economics.
That's why Jurvetson and other venture capitalists are investing in the internet, because it changes the way business operates, how we earn a living, how we buy products, how we interact with each other.
What we've got here is a broad-based wealth creation machine, and that's what it is. This is a money machine. It's printing it like there's no tomorrow.
It is no different than when the cable industry started. It's no different from when the first television networks started.
The money is flooding out of Wall Street like the dam has burst.
There's just puddles and puddles of money out there looking for good ideas. And so instead of the rigors that we went through of an extensive business plan and presentations, it's much, much easier to get funded now.
Well, I don't describe it as a bubble. There's a phenomenon with internet stocks versus all other stocks. That's been going on since the internet started.
The old timers like us wait for the day of reckoning. Wait for these people who are speculating to be smacked down. Everybody's invested, everybody's happy, everybody's making money. Something's wrong here.
I would be a certifiable lunatic if I said the market was going to crash.
I think that's just going to continue. There's no reason why we couldn't extrapolate that to the moon at this point.
The media was so eager to break stories that foretold the digital revolution that they ended up pumping up these tech companies without always doing their homework, and nobody was spoon-feeding them better headlines than Seth Warshavsky. The Wall Street Journal wrote, "Cyberporn is fast becoming the envy of the internet. While many other web outposts are flailing, adult sites are taking in millions of dollars a month. How can X-rated fare rack up profits online when so many mainstream websites continue to struggle?" Wired magazine explains, well, Seth's discovered the obvious. Sex sells, and it sells well on the internet. You never really lose. It's cheaper to produce than mainstream content, and it's easier to sell.
Sex is something that's always on everybody's mind, and there's nothing wrong with it. I'm in a business where there's a huge demand for what we provide.
It's a multi-billion-dollar industry, so there's a lot of money to be made.
The net is the ideal medium for this content. There's no stigma to it, and there's no walking down to the corner shop.
It's an environment that's totally anonymous. It's totally impulse-driven. Rather than driving to the adult bookstore, you turn on your computer and you're there. And it combines all of the elements of every medium. So why would anybody turn to anything else when they can get everything right now, the way they want it, completely privately?
Completely privately.
Now, Seth was not just trying to dominate the web's market for sex, though, because he was building a digital empire that branched out in all sorts of seedy directions. His company, IEG, had a website with an online casino, a site that sold advice from psychics, sites that sold vitamins and attorney services, and, of course, sites with the ever-classic get-rich-quick from real estate. Here's a cutting-edge site that showed you real-time quotes from the stock market alongside explicit images so you could multitask. Oh, and IEG also had an online medical division which sold prescriptions like Viagra during a time when the laws regulating online drug sales had not quite caught up with the technology. Want to see a surgery performed live? Just tune in to one of IEG's pay-per-view webcasts. Or how about a site that featured a real-life version of The Truman Show with an adult twist that live stream 7 women in one house with 47 cameras rolling 24/7 to an audience of voyeurs with way too much time on their hands. It was this kind of impressive ingenuity that earned Seth a spot on Time magazine's list of the 50 most influential people in technology, where he was crowned a, quote, relentless innovator and listed with the ranks of Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos.
You know, I want IEG to be kind of the Viacom or Time Warner of new media. I don't see there being any obstacles.
Plenty of reporters were falling for this fake clout that Seth was selling. He'd even managed to BS his way onto 48 Hours and in front of Barbara Walters for an interview. But look, don't get it twisted. Seth was not a skilled entrepreneur. Even though Seth's company, IEG, said it specialized in live content, that was a false advertisement. One former employee named K.L. Simmons said that the live stream department was a complete mismanaged mess. She said IEG did not want to pay for performers to be there 24/7, and the most important part of her job was covering up the fact that the streams were not actually live as promised. So she'd lie to customers and tell them that the phones were down to explain why they couldn't chat with performers like they paid to. And I found this documentary that features IEG and Seth that showed this chat screen where a live stream viewer asks, is there something wrong with the phones? So apparently IEG couldn't even get their services to work on the day that they're filming for a show where Seth then brags about how live and interactive his company is. Another ex-staffer said that IEG would often take orders for products, charge customers credit cards, and then never ship them anything at all. And that is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to how shady Seth was, but we will get more into that in a minute. But for now, the point is that Seth was not the successful businessman that he pretended to be. What he was good at, though, was manipulating the media with scandalous publicity stunts. For example, Seth once offered any member of Congress a 99% discount at a brothel in Nevada, which of course made headlines and brought eyeballs to his website. Seth once said, "We kind of pride ourselves on our unique and controversial material, not just because it gets press, but it keeps our member base coming back for more and gets new people in the door." But y'all, let's get back to Pam and Tommy, because now that Seth had Pam and Tommy's private tape in his hands, you can bet that he was about to blow this up as much as possible in the media so he could bring in floods of new customers to his site. And as far as the legal repercussions, well, Seth had never been one to worry about the law. You've been watching an excerpt from my video on the savage scammer behind the release of Pam and Tommy's honeymoon tape, and there is so much more to this story, so if you want to see the full video, you can find that link down in the description, or you can search YouTube for Pam and Tommy by Mary Betsy.